You are a trained soldier. You have completed basic training. You know how to shoot, how to move under fire, how to follow orders under pressure, and how to keep your head when everything around you is chaos. Now take away your rifle. Take away your body armor. Take away your radio, your GPS, your night vision, your medical kit, and every piece of technology that keeps a modern soldier alive on a battlefield. Put a short sword in your hand, give you a wooden shield, and place you inside a Roman legion of 6,000 men, marching in perfect formation toward an enemy that has been doing this every single day since they were 16 years old. The question is not whether you are tough enough. The question is whether tough enough even matters here. Here is what most people do not understand about the Roman legion. It was not just an army. It was a machine, a system so precisely engineered, so relentlessly drilled, and so psychologically sophisticated that it conquered most of the known world and held it for centuries. Fighting inside one was not about individual courage or individual skill. It was about becoming a functioning component of something vastly larger than yourself. And that is the first and most fundamental problem a modern soldier would face. Modern military training produces independent thinkers, soldiers who can assess a situation, adapt, improvise, make decisions under fire. The entire doctrine of modern warfare is built around individuals and small units operating with initiative and autonomy when communication breaks down. Roman legion warfare required the exact opposite. In the legionary formation, every soldier's survival depended entirely on the soldier to their left, the soldier to their right, and the soldier directly behind them. You did not move unless the formation moved. You did not strike unless it was your moment to strike. You did not retreat unless the signal was given. Individual initiative in a Roman shield wall did not make you a hero. It created a gap in the formation, and a gap in the formation got the men around you killed. A modern soldier dropped into a Roman legion would struggle enormously with this, not because they lack discipline, but because their entire training has conditioned them to think and act individually. Suppressing that instinct in the middle of a battle with 6,000 men depending on collective movement is a skill that took Roman soldiers years of daily drilling to develop, and the drilling itself would come as a significant shock. Roman legionary training was conducted every single day without exception, including rest days. Soldiers marched 20 miles in 5 hours wearing full armor and carrying equipment weighing between 40 and 60 pounds. They drilled sword techniques against wooden posts for hours at a time, always practicing with weapons that were deliberately twice the weight of the ones used in actual combat, so that when real battle came, the weapon felt light and fast by comparison. They practiced formation maneuvers until the movements were entirely automatic, requiring no conscious thought at all. A modern soldier is physically fit by any standard, but Roman legionary fitness was a specific kind of fitness, developed over years of a very specific type of daily physical labor. The muscular endurance required to hold a shield at chest height for hours, to swing a short sword in tight repetitive movements while simultaneously maintaining formation with thousands of men. To do all of this while wearing armor in summer heat or winter cold is not something that develops in weeks or months. It develops over years. And a modern soldier arriving in a Roman legion would not have years. Now let us talk about the actual fighting, because this is where most people's assumptions completely collapse. The Roman short sword, the gladius, was not a weapon designed for the kind of fighting most people imagine when they think of ancient warfare. It was not a slashing weapon. It was a stabbing weapon, designed specifically to be used in extremely close quarters, with almost no room to swing, in the compressed chaos of two formations crashing into each other. The technique for using it effectively was counterintuitive, required specific training, and was entirely different from anything a modern soldier has ever practiced. The shield, the scutum, was not a passive defensive tool. It was an offensive weapon. Roman soldiers were trained to use it to punch, to push, to create the half-second of off-balance vulnerability in an opponent that allowed the gladius thrust to land. The shield and the sword worked together as a single integrated system. Using one without the other, or using either one incorrectly, made both of them significantly less effective. A modern soldier handed a gladius and a scutum would hold them correctly and use them incorrectly. And in a Roman legion battle, incorrectly means dead within the first minutes of contact. But here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because a modern soldier would also bring things to a Roman legion that no legionary had, things that could, under the right circumstances, be extraordinarily valuable. Modern soldiers understand ballistics, trajectory, and the physics of projectile weapons in ways that Roman engineers spent decades trying to work out empirically. A modern soldier observing a Roman artillery unit, the ballistae and the onagers, would immediately understand the mechanical principles involved and could potentially suggest improvements that Roman engineers had never considered. Modern soldiers understand germ theory. They know that wounds need to be cleaned, that infection kills more soldiers than enemy action, that water sources near latrines will make an entire army sick. Roman medical practice was surprisingly advanced for its era, but it operated entirely without the concept of invisible pathogens. A modern soldier who understood this and could communicate it effectively would save lives on a scale that would seem almost miraculous to a Roman field surgeon. And modern soldiers understand psychology of command in ways that even the most experienced Roman centurion could not. The understanding of stress inoculation, of decision fatigue, of how fear spreads through a unit and how to contain it, represents 2,000 years of accumulated military psychology that simply did not exist in the Roman world. So the picture that emerges is not simple. In direct combat, in the shield wall, in the formation, a modern soldier would be at a severe and potentially fatal disadvantage from the first moment of contact. The specific physical skills, the automatic responses, the formation instincts are not there. And in Roman legion warfare, not having them is not a minor handicap. It is an existential problem. But outside the formation, in the spaces where knowledge and intelligence and adaptability matter more than drilling, a modern soldier might be the most valuable person in the entire army. The Roman legion was a machine, and like any machine, it could be improved by someone who understood how machines worked. A modern soldier might not survive their first battle inside the formation, but if they survived long enough to be understood, and if the right Roman commander was paying attention, they might change the way the legion fought entirely. That tension between catastrophic vulnerability in the short term and extraordinary potential value in the long term is what makes this question so difficult to answer cleanly. So, would a modern soldier survive a Roman legion battle? Here is the honest verdict. Thrown into the front line of a Roman formation on day one, with no preparation and no time to adapt, the survival odds are poor. Not because a modern soldier lacks courage or physical fitness, but because the specific skills that keep a legionary alive in a Roman shield wall take years to develop and cannot be improvised under fire. The formation would close around them, the enemy would arrive, and the gaps in their technique would be immediately and fatally exposed. But survival in the Roman army was not just about the front line. The Roman legion was a city that moved. It had engineers, surgeons, administrators, scouts, and strategists. And a modern soldier, with 2,000 years of accumulated human knowledge in their head, would find ways to contribute that no Roman commander had ever seen before. The answer is not yes, and it is not no. It is this. A modern soldier dropped into a Roman legion would probably die in their first battle. But if somehow they did not, they might end up running the whole thing. Subscribe for a new survival verdict every week. And if you want to know whether a modern average person would do any better against the Romans than a trained soldier, that answer is exactly as brutal as you think it is. I will see you in the next one.